Hello, everybody. My name is Rudy Julai. I'm the Research Ethics and Regulatory Specialist at Fraser Health and a Qualitative Researcher. Today, we are going to review an introduction to qualitative research, and I divided that to two separate sections. First, I would like to acknowledge that I'm living and working on the unceded and traditional shared territories of the Quaker and Kwantlen First Nations and pay my respect to their elders past and present. Workshop outline includes defining qualitative research, what are the differences between qualitative and quantitative research, common types of qualitative research, qualitative study designs, methodology, capturing data or methods, and qualitative analysis and report writing. There are four basic principles of research designs which are distinct but closely related. The first is ontology, how the researcher views the world and the assumptions that makes about the nature of the world and of reality. Realists believe the world is real and science proceeds by examining and measuring it, while relativists believe the reality is entirely created by people and there is no single reality. Epistemology is another feature. It's about the assumptions that you make about the best way of investigating the world and about reality. There is again positivism and naturalism or social constructivism. Positivists believe that the best way to investigate the world is through objective methods such as observations. Positivism fit within a realistic ontology. Social constructivists believe that reality does not exist by itself. Instead, it's constructed and given meaning by people. Their focus is therefore on feelings, beliefs, and thoughts and how people communicate these. Social constructivism fits better with a relativist ontology. Methodology is the way that you group together your research techniques to make a coherent picture. Realists tend to have quantitative data while relativists tend to gather qualitative source of data. There is also methods and techniques which are what you actually do in order to collect your data and carry out your investigators. So we move forward toward two broadly splitted research methods that are quantitative and qualitative methods. Which we choose for our research depends on our research question, our underlying philosophy of research, and our preference and skills. Quantitative versus qualitative research methods. In quantitative research, we usually have close-ended questionnaires, surveys, and checklists, larger scale data sets, random sampling, structured data, numbers, categories, statistics, and finally clean data. While in qualitative research, we have open-ended questionnaires and surveys, focus groups, diaries, unstructured or semi-structured interviews, observations and field notes, case studies, drawings, videos, text, visit summaries, office notes, interview transcripts, journal entries, photos, videos, audio recording, drawings, observations, and finally narrative looking for a pattern. In mixed methods, we might have both of those kind of data. In qualitative research, the objective or purpose is to gain an understanding of underlying reasons and motivations to uncover relevant, prevalent trends in thoughts and options. We usually have a small focused sample size. We use coding looking for the patterns for data analysis, and the methods are like focus groups, interviews, group discussions. While in quantitative research, we want to quantify data and generalize results from a sample to the population of interest, sometimes followed by qualitative research to explore findings further. There is a large number of cases representing population of interest, statistical data, conclusive and descriptive findings. Sometimes examples is surveys. There are also interventional quantitative studies that like clinical trials that are also another method in qualitative research. The process of research in quantitative approach is deductive. It means that there is a known idea or theory that already exists. We form hypotheses, test hypotheses, and observe results, data, and finally confirm their results. In qualitative approach, we have inductive process. We observe a phenomenon, detecting a pattern, develop tentative hypothesis, and finally, we may even form a theory. The strengths of qualitative research include, but not limited to, gain insider perspectives into issues that are often missed, building relationship causes and effects and dynamic processes surrounding issues, allows for ambiguities, contradictions in the data which reflects social reality and duality behind many major issues. Descriptive narrative style which provides rich data. There is also limitations for qualitative research, including lengthy and complicated designs which do not draw large samples, validity and reliability of subjective data, difficult to replicate a study because of central role of the researcher and context, data analysis and interpretation is time consuming, and finally subjective, open to misinterpretation. When to conduct qualitative research? Regularly, when your research goal is to explore a topic or an idea, you want to explore topics in more breadth and depth than quantitative research. You want to gain insight into a target audience's lifestyle, culture, motivations, behaviors, and you want to understand the reasons behind the results of a quantitative research. You want to get input from key informants or others. The questions that a qualitative researcher seeks to answer are why people behave the way they do, how people experience a specific phenomenon, how opinions and attitudes are formed, how people are affected by the events that go on around them, the differences between social groups. Sample research title and questions for qualitative research. You can think of some of them, but there are also some questions or titles here that you can go for it. For example, how youth are affected by parental divorce, or a title, exploring barriers to medication adherence among patients with diabetes, integrating perspectives of patients and healthcare providers. It could be uh, a qualitative study after a quantitative study that investigated the percentage of the people who adhere their medications. So you want to know in more depth why they are not adhering their medication plans. Understanding barriers to healthcare access throughout cultural, safety, and ethical space. Indigenous peoples' experiences in Prince George, Canada. This is another title. So everything is about perception, the lens that you are looking at the world. There is no single reality, there is no truth, there is only perception that makes your uh, picture of the world and of everything that is going around you. As you see in this picture, there is a person on a land seeing a boat, and there is a person in a boat lost in the sea and sees the land. This is all the feelings of those people are about perspectives. In both scenarios, the individuals are experiencing a moment of potential rescue or relief. However, their perspectives are shaped by their current circumstances and needs. The person lost at sea see the island as a destination, while the person stuck on the island perspectives the boat as a means of escape and salvation. These contrasting viewpoints highlight the subjectivity of perception based on individual experiences and contexts. We can say that the grass is always greener on the other side. Qualitative research is about understanding these differing perspectives. So you can do some practice here and think for each of those titles, what approach might be more appropriate. A comparison of the effectiveness of drug A versus drug B in the treatment of migraine, an exploration of the role of practice managers in the primary healthcare team, a study of 4 practices, a descriptive study of school nurses' experiences of dealing with boys who have eating disorders, a national survey of patients' knowledge of the causes of heart diseases. Actually, you can think of different ways of investigating those uh, titles. You can discuss that together and explain why are you selecting the specific research method to go and investigate those titles. Next, we are going to talk about methodology and methods. Sometimes people use them interchangeably, but they are different. Methodology is the philosophical framework and the principles that guide research practice. Explains why we use specific methods, often disciplines specific. Different methodologies will generate different types of knowledge which are not always compatible. This is about the why we choose this specific method. Methods are the techniques or actions for gathering data, the various ways of proceeding in gathering information. Methods are like focus groups, interviews, observation, and the methods and how they are used are shaped by methodology. This is the way. So the methodology is about the why, and methods is about the way. So you can look at this research methodology. Three methods are details of exactly how we collect data. Methodology is how we should best collect data. Epistemology is how we should investigate the world, and ontology is about how we view the world. This is about the slide number 1 or 2 that I discussed about the 4 basic principles of or features of research. Okay, sampling methods are also different in qualitative research. Sorry. The primary purpose of sampling is the selection of suitable population or elements so that the focus of the study can be appropriately researched. Sampling in qualitative research is non-probability sampling. There are different sampling methods as you see in this slide. The first one is convenience sampling. It means that you select the most accessible subjects. This is not the way that we want to do our sampling in qualitative research. The most common approach for sampling in qualitative research is purposive sampling or purposeful sampling, in which investigator actively selects the most productive sample to answer the research question. Intellectual strategy based on researchers' knowledge, literature, evidence guide the researcher to do the purposive sampling. There is another approach called snowball sampling. Researcher starts gathering information from one or a few people and then relies on these people to put the researcher in touch with others who may be other significant contacts. As you see, you start with a few people and then they inform other people that might be a good target to answer that question. And finally, we have theoretical sampling, particularly in some approaches of qualitative